You know what? You new age wannabe indigenous to America black folks are utterly irritating.
Halito, welcome back, Soul Tribe. This is WAA Reacts, and I am Empress T. Now, today's video, we are going to highlight a young man who is half Jamaican and half Black American, he says. And he has some questions and also some concerns about why we are now all of a sudden going around saying that we are the original people of America and that we are not African, and he has a problem with it. So I think you would really, really enjoy this video, and check out my reactions in the video. I will talk to you later. Peace.
Like serious business. The whole entire world of black folks, right? From everywhere else, right? From Africa, from the Caribbean, from South America, and even in Europe, in Canada, north of here. All of them are all in accordance to the fact that we are all descendants of Africans. All of them.
Americans keep saying African American. You never been to Africa, bro. If y'all would protest that, they would change that shit. That African American shit is to me, dog. You American.
Not really. No,
I don't know if I agree with that.
No, it ain't. When you take a DNA test,
just leave it black.
Nah.
All of them are all in accordance to the fact that we are all descendants of Africans. All of them.
This is an island of 94% is of the Melanite nation. We are indigenous to this island. Do not get it twisted. We very well knew our history, our roots, all the records, where we're from and where we're heading.
All of them are all in accordance to the fact that we are all descendants of Africans. All of them.
Ain't Jamaicans Nigerians?
No.
No, but they're...
A lot of West Africans have this concept because slaves were taken from West Africa and dropped in the Caribbean. One must understand, there were people there first.
Yeah.
There were people there first. Even on the Jamaican coat of arms, there are Indians there. And people be like, oh, so where did the Indians come from? This is the West Indies.
All of them are all in accordance to the fact that we are all descendants of Africans. All of them.
I'm not African either. I live in Africa. I'm Somali. I speak Somali. This is my flag. Stop bullying us. I'm not black. This is black. I'm not black. I'm not African either.
Right? Y'all are the only ones here in America basically bringing up this bullshit saying that you are not African and that you are indigenous to America. Your culture always been here ever since the beginning of time, which is a fucking lie.
All a lie. Everything we've been taught in the American education system is all a lie. Yes, Native Americans weren't the original people of this land. We actually took it from black people. We were so good at it that we just wiped out any trace of their language and their culture.
And then you try to run this whole thing about, certain people, the powers that be, lied to you about being from here, that originally you were from here and that none of your people were brought here on merchant ships, you know what I mean, as in captivity as slaves.
Is that the black population of the U.S., which of course amounted at the time of the Civil War to something like 4 million people, those people did not come from Africa. Those people did not come from Africa. They came as a result of natural population growth.
Yeah.
The slave trade to the U.S. was shut down largely in 1807, not completely, but largely. So if you look at the census data for the U.S. in 1870, which is when black people were finally included, you'll find almost no Africans. They were, of course, native African Americans. And that's not something that people have taken on board.
Like, y'all are really, it's getting to the point where it's so many of y'all now, all of a sudden in 2024, you decide we're not African.
What's happening is, Black America, we was asleep. We was knocked out cold. We were hard sleepers. But since we started to wake up, since we started to wake up, now it's harder for these people to come in our house and steal because we can see them, we can hear them. We're literally watching you. No, you can't do that. And these people are upset. They need us to go back to sleep. They need us back under comatosis so that they can continue to creep through our house and steal.
We don't have any ties to Africa whatsoever. We don't have any African genes whatsoever. You know, my people have nothing to do with Africa whatsoever. You wait till 2024 to start saying this.
That's why it is imperative that we continue to wake up. That's why it is imperative that you continue to wake up your brethren, your family, your friends. Talk to them. You ain't got to beat it in their heads, but at least get them to understand the difference between us and them. There's a lot of Black Americans who still believe that we are Africans. There's a lot of Black Americans who believe we still Africans, and that's due to indoctrination. It's time and high time. Not only do we teach each other, teach our children that there's a difference. That's who we need to teach. They need to understand that that person is different from you, and that's okay. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Okay? I'm saying all that to say that the whole point is to get you to fall back asleep. But one thing about this awakening is once you wake up, no matter how hard you try, you cannot go back.
Then got the nerve to say that there's plenty books and plenty research out here.
Huge number of tribal groups, and there's no way I can do this without perhaps overgeneralizing a little bit in some of my statements. All right, here's a painting of some Indians at Mission, San Francisco, or San Jose, I think, painted in the early 1800s by one of the visitors to the missions. And here we have a situation in which the Indians were permitted to hold one of their native ceremonies, whatever it may have been, but it was done by Indians who were converts to the missions, and they were portrayed in this way. And this is clearly reflects Aboriginal body painting, feathered headdresses, and all kinds of things which were there before the Spanish missionaries got there. That is a continuation of some aspects of native religious life.
Now, I do not know if this video right here is of them doing their native dance or they're inside of a studio. So I don't know if they were filming something, but this is a 1894 so-called Native Americans, the Indians who are doing their dance. And I don't know about you, but they don't look like the Native Americans that are on the plantation, Mara reservations today. So what do you think? It look like copper-colored people to me.
Do you realize that that's what they want you to think? That's what the powers that be, that's what they want you to think. They want you to separate from your original culture. They already brought you here to separate you from your original culture. Now they're brainwashing you with this new shit. You know what I mean? Making y'all think that y'all are the original Indians.
Now, young man, please allow me to interject right here, because what you're saying is starting to sound like satire. So you're saying that we were brought from Africa, and we were told that we have no language and no culture, and given a new culture, a new language. And now after, 400 or 500 years, now they're coming back to tell us that, hey, we lied, you're not African, you're really Indian. You want us to believe that this whole march about being an Indian is coming from the powers that be? The very same powers that be that told us that we were 3/5 of a human, told us that we were nothing but property, chattel property at that. And now it's going to tell us, hey, you are the rightful owners of America. You are an Indian. Are you mad? Are you okay?
Them Indian people don't want y'all in their culture. They don't.
The question of the freedmen's citizenship dates back to the mid-1860s. President Andrew Johnson sent a delegation to Arkansas for negotiation with the tribes. In their agreement with the Creeks, Article 2 gave the freedmen the right to citizenship in the nation. 156 years later, Judge Mouser used that treaty as the foundation for her ruling.
Then you got a problem with every other Afrocentric person, you know, and especially with this hip-hop argument. Y'all got a problem with Jamaicans. Y'all got a problem with Puerto Ricans and other Afro-Latinos. We all know who we are. I'm half Jamaican myself. I'm Black American and half Jamaican. And by the way, my 90-something-year-old grandma, before she passed, who was born in the 1890s, yeah, she basically broke down the history of her family to me.
Oh, I get it. So we have to believe your Jamaican grandma, but we can't believe our indigenous American grandma? Make that make sense.
I'm African. Okay? I ain't indigenous to this land. Never was. Don't even got a smidgen of indigenous blood. My sister got a little bit of indigenous blood because on her father's side, they probably had a little bit of native. You know what I mean? About 2% from her DNA report. My DNA report says 0.
Much people want to believe. They want to believe they've gotten an answer.
And it's not fair of us to let them believe that we're giving them certain answers because scientifically, we just can't.
These DNA tests for ethnicity are entertainment value only.
William Gilliland is a biology professor at DePaul. He says DNA kits can be great for connecting family members and finding relatives, but the science for ethnicity testing isn't as concrete.
There's nothing that confident for ethnicity. There's no diagnostic nucleotide. You can say this person is from Europe, this person's from Africa.
And you know that for those of you that do have indigenous genes, there's nothing wrong with that.
Also, the TikTok girls want to know, what's your ethnicity?
A southern lady from New Orleans.
Are you like mixed with anything?
Oh, just like a pot of gumbo. Got a little bit of everything.
You know what I mean? Indigenous people are beautiful people in this country. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's okay for you to claim your indigenous side, but to completely denounce being a African descendant is just total and complete freaking ignorance.
We don't oversell. I mean, we just say, look, we provide a service. If you're interested in exploring a tiny bit of your DNA and trace its ancestry, we can do that.
When you say it's a tiny little amount,
It's less than 0.1%.
and that's pretty teeny.
Yeah, but for people who know nothing about any of them, I think it's very...
Like, totally and completely freaking ignorant. And I'm waiting for one of y'all to come with some information and prove this tape. Because we can have a discussion all day. I'll bring up every study possible and show you every study possible that says you are lying.
No. Black Americans are American. They are not African. The vast majority of Black Americans living here today are American descendants of slavery. And because of this legacy of slavery, their connections to Africa are so distant and they have been severed that they do not have any real connections to it today. Nationality-wise, culture-wise, and everything else, they are American, not African. In fact, even the concept of ethnicity, their ethnicity would be Black American, not some form of African. And no, race does not make them African. Race is a social construct, and it's a pseudoscientific one at that. Not to mention, all human beings have their origins in Africa, depending on how far back we go. So this entire concept of, well, we have to consider the blacks African is just racism.